In today's video, I am going to be breaking down different dribble handoff basketball plays that you can run with your team. So if you are able to run dribble handoffs with your age group, some of these can be used with pretty much any age. So let's get down, let's check these out really quickly. A lot of these plays are 5-out offenses. If you want the complete guide to the 5-out offense, make sure to go check out the link that is down in the description below. Now let's get down, let's check out these plays. Okay, so first what we are going to have is player 4 set a screen for player 2, and player 1 is going to dribble out towards that left wing. When this is happening, we're going to have player 5 at the same time set a pin down screen on player 3, and player 3 is going to be lifting towards the wing. Because player 4 is setting that screen, player 2 is going to use that screen and then use player 1 as a dribble handoff as well. After player 2 gets that dribble handoff, we're going to have player 1 stay where he is for just a second to set that screen. We're going to have then player 4 after this screen pop out towards the 3-point line. Player 3 is already up using player 5 as a screen, and player 5 is already rolling towards the basket. And after this screen, player 1 is going to roll towards the basket. So now, after this dribble handoff, we now have player 2 having the number 1 option, which could be potentially to pass to player 5, or potentially pass to player 3, or potentially pass to player 1, or he could score himself. If none of these 3 options are open, there's always the potential possibility of player 4 being open, depending on what his defender is doing to try and defend the paint. If there's nobody around player 4, then he would be a fantastic option off of this play. And in all honesty, while that may look really complicated, it's really simple. 4 and 5 set pin down screens. Player 1 dribbles to one side. Player 2 comes off of that screen. Player 3 comes off of that screen. Player 4 pops. Player 5 rolls. Player 1 rolls. And player 2 has all of the options. He can pass to any of these 4 players, or he can score the ball himself. Now, that play works extremely well against a man-to-man defense. It's not going to work very good against a zone. Now, this next play is going to work extremely well against a zone, and it works for me as well because I use it with my U12 team up here in Canada, which is equal to 11U in the United States. So without showing any defense at first, all this is a weave offense where you do a dribble handoff and then you roll. After you roll, you fill out and player 5 lifts. Player 3 is then going to dribble out towards this side. He's going to do the dribble handoff. He's going to roll. He's going to fill out, and player 4 is going to lift. It's just a cycle. All it is one big cycle. Player 2 then comes over, sets that screen, rolls, player 1 lifts, player 5 sets that screen or that dribble handoff, he rolls, player 3 lifts, player 5 fills out, and all it is just one big cycle. Now, the reason why this works extremely well against a zone defense is because when you do this dribble handoff, you're going to then have multiple players collapse, potentially, where now player 1 is, if he's way over here, okay, well, he's going to be guarding you all the way. Meanwhile, player 4 has rolled off. They're going to do that dribble handoff again, and if player 1 is not paying attention, then now player 3 can attack that paint. He could get that floater mid-range, he could collapse that defense, he could kick it out, make the defense scramble, extra pass, 3. What I'm trying to show you here is it's not just all about that weave. You can't just continuously do a weave. What you want to do is after that dribble handoff, look to attack the paint every time. That way you can put pressure on the defense. You can put pressure on the zone getting into that key because zones do not want you in the key. And then when you kick that ball out of the paint and you make that extra pass, that creates a lot of gaps in the defense against zones for you to attack. A lot of coaches try to overcomplicate things to try and beat a zone, and all that really does sometimes is just stagnate your offense, and you just keep on passing it around the perimeter, hoping for the defense to open up. That generally never does happen. It's not that hard for a defender to take 2 shuffles over and to guard the next player. And if you're not in attack mode, they're just going to allow you to pass around the perimeter as long as you really want. It's going to have to take you to make a pass into the post or to attack the paint to be able to collapse that defense and create opportunities for other players on your team. So that is why you always want to look to attack coming off of that dribble handoff. Now, a fun little play that I've ran a few times in the past is a horns offense with a couple of dribble handoffs. And this is actually kind of fun. It's interesting. And it does need some big players on your team to be able to run perfectly. You're going to have player 1 dribble to one side or the other. He's going to then do the entry pass into one of the post players. When he does this, he has to move to the opposite side. He has to get his butt away from that action. Because now, coming off of this, we're going to have player 4 using player 5 as a dribble handoff. And that is when player 4 is going to be attacking that paint hard. Player 5 is going to roll, do a high roll towards maybe a foot inside the free throw line. He wants to stay away from the basket because what's going to happen is if his man drops off and player 4's man continues with him, player 5 is wide open. If player 3's defender comes down, then player 3 is open. There's options. So how this looks when it comes to defense, and this is only used against a man-to-man, player 1 will dribble out towards this side. He'll make the entry pass. He gets out of the way. Now, player 4 uses that dribble handoff, and now he's going to attack the paint. If his man fights over and player 5's man leaves him, now player 5 is open for the shot. Player 5 could be open for the drive, or this could collapse this man, kick the ball out for a 3, or if player 4's man goes under or over, doesn't matter, and player 3 collapses, then he kicks the ball out to player 3 for that 3-point shot. Essentially, somebody is going to have an open shot. We may even have the opportunity for when player 5 gets that ball, if player 2 collapses, he could make that kick out past the player 2, especially if he drives, he could kick it out to player 2. So there's a couple of different plays that you can run with dribble handoffs that are some of them are unconventional, while there is that one called weave that pretty much every team uses, but is very successful against a zone because it opens up the gap down the middle of that zone. I hope that you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, hit that like button, subscribe. Make sure to go check out my complete guide to the 5-out offense and even my Horns basketball playbook that is down there as well if you want some Horns basketball plays. I'll see you guys again in my next video.